Hello and welcome to the Lorekings. This is your boy, Big Doula. I know recently geek culture has been under attack and under fire by all these outside groups trying to claim something that it's not. So today is going to be a celebration of geek culture and the top 5 moments that help progress race relations in this country. The number 5 moment was Into the Matrix, released in 2003, a video game that took place during the time of the Matrix Reloaded movie. The reason why this was so important is the 2 main protagonists in the game were Niobe and Ghost. Niobe, an African-American woman played by Jada Pinkett Smith, breaking the whole perception of the gaming culture as being sexist and racist, and Ghost, the Asian American man. The game was able to sell 1 million copies in its first 18 days, 2.5 million copies in its first 6 weeks, and 5 million copies total. Now, compare that to today and how fast video games sell today. This was a totally different environment. This was 2003. Games didn't sell that fast. They weren't selling 5 million copies in the first week and other things of that nature. So this, at the time, this was a very powerful moment in video gaming. Very powerful moment for breaking the notion of somehow they're excluding some type of protagonist. Number 4 on my list is the release of Deep Space Nine, a Star Trek spin-off franchise. In an effort to end hostilities between the Kardashians, no, not those Kardashians, these Kardashians. The Federation, under joint control with Bajor, took control of the old Kardashian space station, Turok Nor, and transformed it into Deep Space Nine. Now, the commander of the space station was Benjamin Sisko, played by Avery Brooks. At the time, it was somewhat controversial that the preeminent science fiction franchise of the time would make an African-American man head of the show. And they had all these assumptions about how the show would do as far as ratings. It never performed as well as Star Trek: The Next Generation, which at best would reach 11% of households during prime time. This show, though, since it did come out later, was able to penetrate 6% of households without the support that other shows of the time had. They spent twice as much on promoting Voyager, and the most Voyager ever did was penetrate 5% of households. This is to show you how good of a show this was and how good of a moment it was for geek culture to push ahead and to break everyone's expectations on race and culture. The show was able to survive 7 seasons and 176 episodes and still hailed as one of the best franchises Star Trek has ever created. Okay, number 3 on my list came to us July 2nd, 1996. The name of this movie is called Independence Day. I know a lot of people have recently saw some of the leaked emails from Sony in which they were talking about how using black actors in major movies would somehow hamper gross sales and everything of that nature. Now and this is 2015, now bring it back to 1996. One of the main characters was Will Smith. They had no idea how well this would do and if they made a mistake. Up until that point, he hasn't been in any major movies of this significance yet. But upon release, this movie wound up becoming the 2nd highest grossest movie of all time when it came out. Catapulted Will Smith's career, who then wound up owning the July 4th weekend for 5 of the next 10 years with the Bad Boys series and Men in Black. But at the time, this was a major risk and a major step forward for what people felt was the next breakthrough of African-American actors in Hollywood. Second most powerful moment has to be the Green Lantern 76 issue with Green Arrow, written by Dennis O'Neil and Neil Adams, called "No Evil Shall Escape My Sight." Such words may seem trivial today. I'm just going to read the quote from the comic book itself. And it says, it has an African-American man talking to Green Lantern. And it says, "I've been reading about you. You work for the Blueskins and how on a planet someplace you helped out the Orange Skins. And you done considerable for the Purple Skins. Their skins you never bothered with, the Black Skins. I want to know how come. Answer me that, Mr. Green Lantern." And then he just shrugs his head and said, I can't. What the future would be like. Anybody, you know, born after 1990 and they see this, they're like, this is crazy. Very proud of the writers when they did this. They weren't forced to do it. No one made them do it. No one was looking to cause a controversy. They just decided to see something and go for it. So I applaud them. And it was a great moment in geek culture. And we should appreciate that. The number one moment in geek culture, I think, helped push, really push race relations in this country was November 22nd, 1968, an episode called Pluto's Stepchildren. In this episode, William Shatner as James T. Kirk kissed Nichelle Nicholas, or Lieutenant Uhura. It became the first scripted kiss on television between a white male and a black female. This happened in 1968. Not a time when, you know, race relations were at a good place. The country had been protesting and marching for years. This moment was very powerful. This moment was extremely powerful for people to see the visuals of what will happen in the future. This was not something that was well liked and well received from some parts. And for many years after the end of Star Trek, William Shatner struggled to get jobs and he kind of had to work his way back up. This moment was a very powerful moment. Whenever you're the first to do something, you open yourself up to criticism and you open yourself up to a lot of different things. But this whole notion that we've been hearing lately of geek culture being, you know, rabidly sexist, rabidly racist, and all these other things is just not true. It just doesn't hold up from people that support the culture and have been supporting the culture. I made this because it was the beginning of Black History Month, but also I think people in geek culture should really take note and really feel proud of what they've been able to do to push ahead America's culture in general. This is your boy Big Doula signing off. Subscribe to my channel, like and comment. Very well done movie, kind of a mental thriller, great science fiction. When the show was announced, I was kind of skeptical. You know, their track record as of late hasn't been up to par to the Sci-Fi Friday days of days past.